Thank you again for agreeing to sit down with me and answer a few questions. I'm going to start with the first question, which is when and how did you know you wanted to become a doctor?
Yeah, so for me, you know, medicine has always been sort of like a thing that I've always wanted to do. I think I walked into the room one time and my mom was watching a show, and this show was about these black doctors, or these doctors in general, who were doing this really amazing stuff. And this show was called Grey's Anatomy. So that was sort of one of the first times that I saw black men represented well, represented in a very positive manner. And then from there, I was always surrounded around black male mentors who always sort of like told me these are different options that you can have. I shadowed a black male internist physician, and he was the one who sort of like took me under his wing, and sort of seeing that every day was something that was really really important to me, and that was sort of the one thing that really shaped me to wanting to pursue the field of medicine.
Oh, I love Grey's Anatomy. I should have asked you to introduce yourself. I didn't even your name. We don't know anything. So could you just give like a two-sentence introduction of yourself, please?
Yes, yes. So I am Jeremiah Whittington. I am a current second year student at UIC, or called the University of Illinois College of Medicine. And yeah, so I'm from the city of Harvey, which is about 45 minutes south of Chicago. And I am a product of the public school education system. So I definitely understand the challenges that come with that. And I also understand that with support and mentorship, you can pretty much make it out through whatever circumstance you're in. So yeah, I am so happy to be here with you today.
I didn't know you were from Harvey. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, Harvey.
Okay. What were some of the biggest obstacles you had to overcome getting into medical school?
Yeah. So I would say for me, the biggest one would be the MCAT. I think sort of, I took it twice, and I had a pretty strong GPA, but I think for me, trying to translate all of that material over to a standardized test fashion, I think this is something that really plays a lot of minority applicants. And for me, having the perseverance to really push forward and to sort of know that this one test score would not define myself as an applicant, because at the end of the day, when a patient comes in to see you, they don't care much about what score you have or what GPA you have. All they care about is, can you give me the best care? So that's what I always try to sort of pride myself on there.
The MCAT, I would think it was my biggest obstacle too. Like I didn't take any prep courses or anything. I
No,
just
I
like
didn't either.
yeah,
I
that
couldn't afford
was,
it.
yeah, me either. I'm
Couldn't
like, so
afford
I
it.
just got like a Kaplan set from Amazon
Yeah,
and just figured it out from there.
yeah,
Okay, great. So next question, what is the most important thing you learned from your first year that you carried over into your second year?
yeah. So the one thing about UIC that's really interesting is that we have like a block system. So you're pretty much learning all the basic sciences in the same block. So we're not necessarily learning histology for only 8 weeks. Like we're learning everything in a very integrated manner. So I would say the biggest difference is that during second year, you're really focused on trying to prep for your boards examinations, which mine is in March. So it's sort of like shifting that mindset to knowing that I have this really huge test coming up, and that test is what I have to sort of focus on more than necessarily my classwork.
Gotcha. And that leads into the next question, which is what is the biggest difference between the 2 years? So I know that you said you're getting ready for your boards. So is there anything that feels different about being an M2 versus an M1, or does
Yeah.
it feel the same in the workload has just changed a little bit?
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, the workload doesn't necessarily change. I think for me, it's just focusing on the bigger picture concepts that are related to the board examinations, and making sure that I really utilize spaced repetition. It's a concept of like you learn something one time and then you then reinforce it every week or every couple of weeks. And sort of that's something that has really been more relevant now than it has been certainly like for the first year.
And that also leads into the next question, which is what is the
Nice.
most effective study regimen that you found for yourself?
Yeah.
In addition to spaced repetition, what else do you do?
Yeah. So for me, it's certainly taking like a question based approach, so making sure I know that for me, I really learn by learning from the question. So if I can find a really great question bank that can really explain concepts back to me in a very simple and easy fashion, that's something that has certainly helped me out. So there's a couple of books out there, and I think the biggest resource has been UWorld. If there's any way that any medical student can have that during the first year, I know that a 2-year time frame for that would be about $700, which is kind of like a lot. But if you have that chance to get that, I think UWorld is the best resource to help explain concepts back to you. So then you can sort of teach yourself very actively.
That what was the textbook, the PDF that you shared with me, the
Uh,
immunology questions?
the Robin Spethology.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really,
That was
really
good.
helpful
Yeah,
for
yep.
just like
That was a great one too.
processing all of the immunology that we learned. Okay, next
Immunology.
question. How has your second year been impacted by the pandemic?
Yeah. So certainly everything is online, as I just like assume everyone else is also as well. I think there's something about being in medical school where like you have to want to learn, right? So you have to be self disciplined, and if you don't have that, then you're going to fail out. So it's really finding the motivation inside every day to know that I have to do this, that I have to do this every single day because no one's going to tell you what to do or what to sort of work on. And it's really, I think, medicine in general is a very self-learning process, right? So you're learning on your own. You're trying to figure out what the best approach is. So for me, the biggest thing is just sort of having like my own self-guided approach to learning the material without being in the classroom.
Did you stop going in person in March?
We stopped. I think we stopped slightly before that, February. I think
Oh, wow.
February.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a while. Yeah.
Next question is, what would you like to accomplish as a physician 10 years from now?
Wow. Wow. So yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, my goal is to really become debt free. That's like that's the number one goal coming out of school. I think that having that sort of like freedom to be able to practice the way that you want without having to feel like the medical debt that's on you is something that's very important. So that's something that in the next 10 years I certainly want to have that. And then two, for me, mentorship and giving back is really important. I think having the opportunity to either fund different programs or scholarships that help to increase the number of black of black of black sort of black fish of black physicians is something that's really important to me, and that's something that I want to definitely give back in the next 10 years.
And the last question that we have is, if you could go back and give your undergraduate self some advice, what would it be?
Wow. Continue to find mentors who have your best self at heart, and continue to finding people who sort of surround you who can help you go through this journey. I think medicine is a very challenging journey, and every single step of the way there are different challenges that come, and having a support system that can help you get through each step of the way is something that's really important. Yeah.
Great. Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to share? Anything you want to ask me before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I think for you, I would just like to know how has medical school been going, and sort of like what would you tell your past
Oh
self
my
about sort
gosh.
of like applying. Um,
Wow. I didn't expect you to actually ask me anything. So it's going well. It's going a lot better at the beginning of this block than it was the beginning of block one for sure. We just had our first in-person anatomy session. When did I go? I think it was 2 days ago. So we did the upper body dissection, and it was really cool. That was like my first time I felt like I was a real medical student because I hadn't had any classes. I hadn't seen any professors in person. So I was able to see Dr. Klopp, and she was really helpful. And overall, I feel like I'm getting the swing of things. Like I know how to study now, which it took all of block one and block two to figure out. So I think is working how it's supposed to. Like I remember in the summer we had a Zoom and you were telling us like the first two blocks, like just get used to not knowing things. And I was like, what? Like, is this crazy?
Right forward, yeah.
Yeah, but like once you like realize that it's impossible to know everything and you just have to figure out like what works best for you, it just like you just don't stress out about it, I think.
Yeah.
As far as advice to my younger self, do you mean about applying or my just like undergrad self?
Applying. Yeah.
Applying. I would say believe in yourself and just don't overthink it. Like when I was taking the MCAT, I would like if I did a practice section and I got like all the questions wrong, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to pass this thing. Like I didn't know anyone who had done it successfully before. So I just didn't have any like guidelines. So I think just to like trust my own abilities and just know that I am able and I am qualified and that I belong here too.
Yeah. I think the belief factor is really important. I think that's something that we all sort of face because when you sort of walk into class, you see all these really brilliant people and you're just sort of like afraid already, you know, but it's like, it's really understanding that you belong, you know, you belong there. And you do, and you will make it through all of the different ups and downs of that journey. So yeah, I think that was awesome.
All right, well, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for doing this with me on Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good one.
You too.